Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
As many mourn the loss of a Phoenix police officer, we take a look at how Arizona compares to nationwide incidents for officers.
Plus, TSA agents are speaking out about gun safety.
And will recent rain showers finally help farmers say goodbye to a 3-month drought?
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Tara Molina.
And I'm Dom DeFurio. Thank you for joining us. SB 1062 is long gone, but some want the organization that helped draft the bill to go away as well. Reporter Sophia Solis was at the Capitol today, where legislative Democrats came out to call an end to bills they consider extremist.
Democratic legislators say they are tired of one particular lobbying group's increased influence. In a press conference today, lawmakers talked about the ongoing efforts by the Center for Arizona Policy. This group was largely behind SB 1062 and the so-called Religious Freedom Bill. They are now supporting HB 2284, a bill that would allow searches of family planning clinics. Democratic leaders say the organization is putting the wrong spotlight on Arizona.
We just got through this entire fiasco of dealing with Senate Bill 1062. It was a national disgrace. It put us in the spotlight for all of the wrong reasons, which is something we're getting very good at here in Arizona. And now we're turning back around and we're talking about another bill that attacks a certain group of people and denies them the rights they are protected to have under the Constitution.
We reached out to the Center for Arizona Policy, but they did not reach us by news time. HB 2284 passed in the House today and will continue in the Senate. Live in the Media Center, Sophia Solis, Cronkite News.
The Center for Arizona Policy was very unhappy about the veto of SB 1062, but one statewide religious organization is grateful for the veto and felt the need to hand-deliver a thank you note. Members of the United Church of Christ gathered at the Capitol this morning to personally thank Governor Brewer for vetoing SB 1062. They recognized how divisive the controversy was and wanted to remind the public that not all religious organizations supported the bill. They collected over 200 signatures, demonstrating support from other religious faiths as well.
We heard from religious organizations that supported the bill and were disappointed that she vetoed it. And we want to make sure that the progressive religious voice is in the marketplace saying thank you.
Religion should never be used to exclude people. It should be inclusive, it should be compassionate, and 1062 did not do that.
Governor Brewer wasn't there to accept the thank you, but the group hopes she recognizes their continued support.
And the support for Brewer doesn't stop there. A recent public policy poll shows that 72% of Arizonans agree with Brewer's decision to veto SB 1062, while 18% disagree with her decision. And in the same poll, Arizonans support legalizing same-sex marriage. 49% are in favor, while 41% are opposed. The poll also found that the majority of voters under the age of 45 are for gay marriage.
State flags were lowered today to honor a fallen Phoenix police officer killed in the line of duty. Cronkite News reporter Shane Dwyer went to the Phoenix Police headquarters today, where we learned the name of that officer and more details on the suspect. Shane, these have been a difficult 2 days for members of the Phoenix Police Department and the officer's family.
Tara, it sure has been. 43-year-old Phoenix Police Detective John Hobbs was a 21-year veteran of the force and had served in the Major Offenders Bureau for 7 years before he was shot and killed yesterday afternoon. Now, Detective Hobbs, seen here in this image provided by the Phoenix Police Department, was with 2 other officers yesterday when a surveillance situation quickly went wrong. Police Chief James Garcia says it's believed that the suspect was being watched, recognized the 2 undercover officers, and immediately took off. After a short car chase that ended in a crash, the suspect opened fire on officers, striking both Detective Hobbs and his partner. As for the suspect, 28-year-old William Thornton had a long rap sheet and had just been released from prison in January on attempted robbery and narcotics charges. He was the primary suspect in an attempted homicide just 2 weeks ago, which was why they were watching him. The shooting broke out quickly and after the chase, and while both officers were hit, Detective Hobbs was able to fire several shots.
Heroic, absolutely heroic. We're talking about an officer who gets shot and doesn't give up the fight. He is proned out, returns fire, hits our suspect multiple times. He didn't give up.
The second officer involved in that shooting has not been identified at the request of the family, but that officer is a 9-year veteran of the force and is in stable condition this evening. Detective Hobbs leaves behind a wife and 3 children, and what many are talking about is that neither officer was wearing a vest. But police officials say that because they were just surveilling and everything happened so fast, they didn't even have time to put on those bulletproof vests. And while this is a very tragic situation, Cronkite News investigative reporter Alex Lanciel discovered that thankfully it's also a rare one.
Detective Hobbs was the 37th Phoenix police officer to be killed in the line of duty, but fortunately, Phoenix has a relatively low rate of fallen officers compared to other cities of the same size. In fact, at least 3 cities with a similar population have had more police officers killed in the line of duty than Phoenix. A quick search revealed that Dallas has suffered 80 fallen officers and San Antonio 57. Philadelphia has a slightly higher population than Phoenix, but the city's total number of officers killed in the line of duty is 256, over 200 more than Phoenix. San Diego has had 32 officer deaths, fewer than Phoenix, but the amount of fallen officers per capita is about the same. Nationwide, the number of police officers killed in the line of duty reached a historic low in 2013. 111 local, state, federal, and tribal officers were killed, the lowest number in more than 50 years. For the investigative team, Alex Lanciel, Cronkite News.
President Obama proposed a $3.9 trillion budget for the upcoming fiscal year.
It's a roadmap for creating jobs with good wages and expanding opportunity for all Americans. And at a time when our deficit's been cut in half, it allows us to meet our obligations to future generations without leaving them a mountain of debt.
President Obama's budget roadmap highlights investing in manufacturing and new technology, tax cuts for lower income and middle class workers, and job-driven training, high-quality preschool for all 4-year-olds, and a reduction of national deficit and debt to stabilize the economy. Not everyone agrees with the budget. House Speaker John Boehner says Obama's plan is perhaps the president's most irresponsible budget yet. These days, there are many rules about flying, from packaging your liquids in clear containers to taking off your shoes at the security checkpoint. But as reporter Kaylee Formicella shows us, TSA officials are finding more than banned liquids.
If you've ever flown, you know there are certain things you have to be extra careful with. Shockingly, the number of people that are trying to bring loaded guns through TSA security checkpoints is on the rise, up 16.5% from 2012. Every day, transportation security officers interact with nearly 2 million travelers across the United States, and what they're finding in passengers' bags is causing huge problems.
It's incumbent upon passengers to check their bags before they come to the airport to make sure they're not carrying guns, loaded guns, or any other kind of prohibited or illegal item before they come to the airport, because it's going to slow them down at the security checkpoint.
Last year, over 1,800 firearms were discovered by TSA officers across the nation. That's 5 guns a day. What's more is 81% of those guns were loaded. Phoenix currently ranks number 4 when it comes to finding guns in baggage. As a matter of fact, in 2013, 66 guns were discovered. And it's not just guns that the TSA officers are discovering. They're also dealing with passengers bringing toy guns and grenades, bats, hammers, and knives into the airport. If they find any illegal items, the police get called. So Melendez is encouraging passengers to pay attention.
Almost every time I've heard of a gun coming through a checkpoint, passengers tell us they just forgot it was there.
But forgetting could end up costing you more than a delay. Officials say passengers are allowed to travel with firearms. They just have to be unloaded in a hard container with a lock, and they have to be checked. You're not allowed to carry them on. The TSA is hoping a little airport education will bring these numbers down. Reporting from the Media Center, I'm Kaylee Formicella, Cronkite News.
Some changes in the Tucson area where a decision has been made to disband the Ironwood Hot Shots after the current fire season comes to a close in October. Officials say the decision to lay off most of the fire crew has nothing to do with the Yarnell fire disaster last year, where 19 hotshot firefighters lost their lives. Officials say it all comes down to money, and that most of the time the hotshots were working in other areas and not in their own district where taxpayers were footing their bills.
When our hotshots are being used, they're being used outside of our community. We need to focus on and come back to those basics of core services. What we need to do for the people, the 120,000 taxpayers of our fire district expect and need based on what they pay for.
7 of the firefighters are full-time, so they'll be given other positions within the department. The other 13 members of the Hot Shots who are part-time will be laid off in October.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
This is the first time that we've ever really had data on Arizona's children.
We'll hear from the experts on how the state can support our most at-risk kids.
And it's a big day for five members of the military as they are honored at the state capitol.
Imagine being stranded. Imagine being stranded.
Getting 16,000 points for them.
From TV banks to computers.
Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Kiss me. That's my kind of man. You've been creating quite a stir.
The winter you've been waiting for is on PBS.
You must choose either death or life.
All the drama.
There's going to be changes at Downton.
It's getting harder to say no.
The adventure.
The waves are breaking all around us.
And the spectacle of nature.
We're going to show how special these animals are.
Come in from the cold. Support the one place that can take you any place.
Staggering numbers out this week about Arizona's children. They're experiencing more abuse than ever before. Cronkite News reporter Megan Thompson was at a discussion today where child welfare advocates talked about the long-term effects.
The ACE study, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, is a national look at how kids are doing state by state. And Arizona's kids aren't doing well. Take a look at some of these numbers. In 2011, more than 8,500 Arizona children were victims of abuse or neglect. That's up almost 30% from the previous year, and up more than 116% since 2007. The goal here today, to do something for the state of our children.
The beginning stages of a child's life are the most important. And this new line of research suggests Arizona can do more to help kids when they're just starting out.
This is a very difficult issue. It's a broad issue to solve, and so the only way that you're really going to affect all of those adverse childhood experiences is to get an entire team.
That team includes pediatricians, schools, and community leaders. Working together, they can prevent abuse before it happens.
We are spending huge dollars trying to fix situations that if we had invested in prevention, we would not be where we are.
Stanton also says Arizona leads the country in the number of kids that have already experienced a childhood trauma. One study found that over 1/4 of Arizona children ages 0 to 17 have already experienced one adverse family trauma, and nearly 1/3 have experienced 2 or more traumas, putting Arizona significantly higher than the national average. And Stanton says the more adverse experiences kids have, the more problems later in life, including time in the juvenile justice system and health problems.
This is going to take everybody pulling their oars in the water and really making very incremental changes.
But First Lady of Phoenix, Nicole Stanton, says this report is a wake-up call, and this meeting a first step towards change.
And the study found that of those 8,700 children who were victims of abuse or neglect, more than 90% were neglected. Megan Thompson, Cronkite News.
Today's theme at the Capitol was all about immigration and diversity. Today, lawmakers put aside all their political differences and instead welcomed some military members to the House floor for a special ceremony. Brittany Thomason was there.
They fought for our freedom, and now they can say they've fought for their country as well. Today, 5 Arizona military members became citizens of the United States.
I just appreciate the opportunity, and I'm ready to serve and give my best to the country.
It is a dream come true for the Nigeria-born Marine.
It's like heaven compared to where I'm from. Everything's different, and all these opportunities and the freedom, and you can be whatever you want.
People came from all over to the House floor to watch the naturalization ceremony. A former ambassador to Finland even made a guest appearance.
The United States thrives from the ideas, talents, and commitment of all of its citizens. We can't wait to see what lies ahead in your lives. lives.
reminding us of the privilege of being an American.
As long as you're determined, the country's there to push you to wherever limit you want to reach.
Which is exactly how these 5 heroes got to where they are today. In Phoenix, Brittany Thomason, Cronkite News.
Salico plans to continue serving her country, and she would eventually like to go to college.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
We'll take a look at the impact the California drought emergency is having on Arizona lettuce farmers.
Warmer temperatures in the valley as the 80s return, and it looks like they're here to stay. I'll have more right after the break.
NewsWatch is one of the really big things I will always remember for the rest of my life.
You're lugging around all of your equipment, you are doing all of the work, and that's what makes it so fulfilling to me.
Being an anchor, I think it's a privilege. I enjoy every moment of it.
Seeing your show on air, it is one of the most surreal feelings ever.
What if we could unlock every mystery?
We're at the beginning of a revolution. That's a huge discovery.
That's never been done before, ever, anywhere.
Touchdown.
No one feeds on curiosity like PBS. Give to your PBS station so future generations can keep asking, what if?
I am a chef. I cook for a living. And I think of PBS as a window to the world. That kind of place where you feel you are part of the story. I want to be part of every possible world is out there. That's when things become really amazing. And when you are able to see stories that make you wonder, makes you think, that's what really makes PBS so meaningful. And that's the kind of TV we need to be supporting today.
With California in a deep drought, farmers are having a tough time surviving. And about 500,000 acres of the state's farmland isn't being planted because of a lack of water. But Arizona is still planting. Cronkite News reporter Cassie Clapp went to San Luis, Arizona to see how their lettuce crops are being affected.
He works long days away from his family.
Yes, I work 5 months here and 7 in California.
And does this for his kids.
I don't want them to follow our footsteps. I want them to study and have a better job than us.
While Arizona has also not had much rain, the situation is not as bad as the dangerous conditions in California. And though San Luis has had little rain, Garcia says his vegetables are doing well.
Right now they're doing well. There are many new variations and perfect conditions.
Though Arizona agriculture is surviving, California is struggling under severe drought.
It's among the most extreme, 9 or 10 on a scale of 1 to 10.
And it doesn't look like they're getting any relief soon, even though they got some rain last weekend.
We're not expecting really a lot of relief as far as rainfall from them. They're going to get some, but it's not as much as they could really use.
Because of this, their agricultural growth will get worse before it gets better.
Of course, anytime you have a significant water deficit, it is going to have impact on crops.
Which means higher prices for produce. Garcia says it costs $3,500 alone to water each acre of his land. And when there is less water, more money is spent.
It costs about $200 to $300 more.
And the drought in California also affects how Garcia's farm runs.
It affects us a little with what they're doing in California, because what we're doing here is delayed a week or two.
And while he keeps his eyes on the skies for more rain, he'll be working long days to make sure his crops get enough water. In San Luis, Cassie Clapp, Cronkite News.
Waters also says that farmers across California and Arizona could have trouble even purchasing irrigation water because the water created from snowmelt off the Rocky Mountains has been down significantly over the past couple of years.
A winter storm moved across Texas, bringing freezing rain and colder temperatures to much of the South. Last night in Houston, the ice so cold and heavy that it toppled trees and even knocked out power lines. But those in our nation's capital are making the best out of their winter weather. People gathered in the National Mall to blast each other with balls of snow in a massive snowball fight. Here you can see that on our radar, that storm system making its way up the coast from Louisiana all the way into Georgia. And those of you in New Orleans who are celebrating Mardi Gras, It looks like it rained on your parade, but I'm sure that not enough to stop the party. Here in Arizona, though, we're going to be relatively warm and dry. High clouds are rolling through. You can see those clouds are already thinning out, and they're going to continue to thin out as we head on into the weekend, or into the night. Tonight, temperatures are going to be pretty cold. 29 for Flagstaff, 38 in Page, 32 for Show Low, and here in Phoenix, we're going to drop down to 57. Then by tomorrow, though, we're going to hit highs in the 80s. 81 for Phoenix. Yuma is going to be a hot day, 84, 59 for Flagstaff, 58 for both Grand Canyon, and 58 for Show Low. Then tomorrow, or for the rest of the 5 days, we're going to see high of 81 Wednesday, like I said, clear skies. Thursday is going to be our warmest day this week with a high of 84, and then we're going to remain in the 80s as we head on into the weekend. That's it for your full forecast. I'm Alina Lee, Cronkite Weather.
Coming up on Newswatch.
In sports, I'm going to introduce you to a young Valley teen whose name you're soon going to remember. And talk about a guy who needs no introduction. The King was on fire, and he was making it rain.
A tradition of excellence, integrity, and innovation.
The second I came in, I fell in love with the program.
The Cronkite School propels students into the new era of journalism.
Students are learning.
Digital, entrepreneurial, and collaborative labs encourage students to shape the future of the industry, and the industry is watching.
We have come here to meet with students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism.
The Cronkite School, the journalism school for the digital age.
What if television could sweep us away to another time and place?
Very nice, my lady.
And could take us from the Gilded Age to the Great War. From the heat of the chase to the heart of a queen. No one tells stories like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring stories like these to life. What if television could remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life.
And the King may be wearing a mask, but make no mistake, he is still king. That's right, LeBron James went off last night against the Charlotte Bobcats, scoring a personal and franchise best 61 points. See him right here draining the pull-up three, and then from the foul line for 60 and 61. It was the first 60-plus point game in Miami Heat history, and LeBron says it felt easy.
I felt like I had a golf ball thrown into the ocean, you know, so especially in that third quarter, you know, at one point I pulled up behind the three-point line probably like 30 feet, and, you know, when that one went in, I knew I was in a really, really good groove.
And it's a good thing the Suns don't have to worry about him falling into that groove against them anytime soon, at least not unless the two teams meet in the NBA Finals. And from one superstar to another, the Seattle Seahawks quarterback decided to give another sport a chance. Yesterday, Super Bowl 48 champion QB Russell Wilson was in town to report to spring training. The Seahawk was only here for one day and didn't get any playing time, but he left a lasting impression on the Texas Rangers.
He's in the video room. He take care of the rookie players. Then he's constantly talking with all the coaches. And, you know, I mean, I got a newfound appreciation for football preparation. Jesus.
And talk about sour grapes. Second baseman Ian Kinsler, who was traded from the Rangers to the Tigers during the offseason, hopes the rest of the team isn't as prepared as Wilson, and told ESPN he hopes they lose all 162 games this season. And she's no superstar name in the headlines, but pretty soon you're going to know who this young woman is. Cronkite sports reporter Michael Canderas introduces us to one teen who's running into some recognition.
The track, a place most feared, but for Danny Jones, the track is home, a home where she has already accomplished so much.
I think the best accomplishment, I think I brought a lot of attention to
DV cross country.
She brought attention to her team and to herself. As a sophomore, she was state champ at the 800 and the 1600 meter, but she couldn't stop running. As a junior, she dazzled everyone by winning the Desert Twilight Invitational.
I guess I don't want to say this, but I kind of blew myself away in a way that I just was so surprised on, what I could do and like what was to come. And
little did Danny know there was something big to come. This past fall, Danny was awarded the Arizona Gatorade Girls Cross Country Runner of the Year, an award that has given Danny even more confidence.
Confidence just gets people like to places you wouldn't believe. Like if I'm racing and a girl is in front of me, like I'm sure my fitness can beat her, but if I don't think I can, then I'm not going to.
Danny and her coach both believe confidence is the key to her success.
But I think the biggest challenge with Danny was quite simply getting Danny Jones to believe in how good Danny Jones could be.
And once she gets there, Coach Messer strongly believes Danny will quickly turn heads.
She's generational. And when I say generational, I mean she's a student athlete you see once in a generation as a high school coach.
And it looks like this generational star can't stop running and won't stop running. In Ahwatukee, I'm Michael Kinderas, Cronkite Sports.
Danny Jones will be looking to defend her title this May at the state championships. Well, I know I'm definitely watching LeBron's next game, but I'm also keeping my eye on Danny Jones.
Danny Jones, coming from the kid who in high school during the timed mile is always walking halfway through it, I have a lot of respect for her.
I don't know, Dom. I never had a hard time with that mile. That's it for Cronkite Newswatch tonight. Thank you for joining us, and have a good evening.